Stable, it's not for you yet. You need a therapist that helps you to become more stable. So then you can take these very, very strong medicines of, oh, I'm responsible for my happiness, nobody else. And sometimes Buddhism is too strong for that, even meditation. So if you feel very unstable and very agitated, don't sit and meditate by all means. Even if it's kind of program in the group. If you feel that you cannot take it, go out and be aware of what is happening and concentrate on your body sensations. You know, like these courses should be there that we learn to take good care of ourselves. But the problem is if the group is so big and I don't know you, I don't know what kind of methods to give you also. Because what applies to you not necessarily applies to somebody else. This is the problem. But yeah, this making him responsible. Yeah, it's okay, you can blow your nose. And people crying is not a problem. Usually crying is a good way of understanding. Yeah? That one has understood something. So why we hold on to this hurt is because we think he is responsible, but he's not.
But I understand that he's not responsible.
No, you don't. You think you understand, but you don't. It's not here. The understanding is only here. It is not here. Okay? That's the difference. It needs to go deeper. It needs to go much deeper. And something in you refuses the understanding that he's not responsible. That's why there's this holding on to the pain, because again, it's this whole thing about the ego wanting to be special. The ego likes being hurt, unfortunately, because then it really blooms and has power and feels righteous and all this. So then these very unkind thoughts about him being unhappy, should be unhappy, become justified. You know? When you look at these thoughts, I want them to suffer because they deserve it. Sometimes it's just good to look at them and think, oh, how unkind. And by the way, if he would suffer as well, it would make you feel better. That's the other deception, that is the other illusion. That's the other illusion that we have. Now you see, what other people feel and how other people feel, what they think, we don't know. But we are very quick at kind of thinking that we know. So you could at least try to assume a way of thinking that is helpful for you to let go, instead of assume thinking he doesn't care, he's very happy, whatever. Do you see what I mean? Because we will never know what other people think. We cannot go into their mind. So, but you can adopt an attitude by thinking, he might also, he feels guilty, but he is trying to have a happy life, because life continues. Yeah.
So it's I continue with my life.
Yeah.
I'm doing stuff that I like, and
Okay.
I fell in love again, and so on. Life continues,
But what?
yeah, there is like
They're suffering. It's what the Buddha says. It's normal. That's what the Buddha says. Everything is in the nature of suffering. The more you are in love with somebody, the more you suffer when the person is gone. See, my brother died very young, 48. It was a very good marriage, right? 20 years later, his wife is still suffering because the marriage was so good. Yeah. Then people like you come to visit her, and they're angry at their partner because they have left them and all this. And she goes and she says, "But what are you talking about? He is still alive." And they go, "I would have preferred if he would have died. It would be easier for me to deal with it." So you see, each other's problem is kind of, we think that it would be easier if he would have died, but it's not. We think it would be, as when he's died, we think it would be easier if he would have just left me, but it's not. Relationships are incredibly difficult. Yeah, but we think I should have the perfect relationship. I tell you, the easiest thing is to live alone.
I know.
Yeah, so why don't you?
I do.
Good. So what's the problem? What's the discussion all about? What's the problem? Yeah? You can be very happy alone, but it's the mind who says, I need somebody. Then if you're very unhappy because you don't have a partner, go and live with people who have problems with each other. Go and look at unhappy relationships. Then you calm down and you say like, oof. Yeah? This is the best antidote for feeling unhappy because you don't have a partner. I mean, society is telling us you need a partner in order to be happy. You need children in order to be happy. It's bullshit. I know parents are very unhappy because their children became drug addicts. Luckily, not all the children become drug addicts. But as a person who doesn't have a partner, you have the problem of being alone. As a person who has a partner, you have the problem of having to adjust. You lose a lot of your freedom, and the more you are prepared to lose, the happier your relationship is. Now, I'm telling you something, you won't like it. Losang OpenHeart said, if you want your relationship to be happy, if one is flexible, that is enough.
It's enough.
Of course. That's why I'm saying you won't like it.
Yeah.
But it's true. And you can be that one. I am giving myself, putting so much effort in being flexible, and you are not, so therefore, this is not right. Yeah? If I give, you also have to give. That's how we think. Now, my training is, no, I give. You want to give? Nice. You don't want to give? Okay. Do you understand now when I said at the beginning of this weekend that spiritual practice is difficult work? Because the ego doesn't like this at all. It comes up with all kinds of excuses. This is dangerous, you will never be happy, blah, 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 and all this. Please try to understand. Happiness is in your mind, nowhere else. And the clearer, the more pure, the less you have like self-centeredness, attachment, desire, anger, jealousy, pride, and all this, the happier you will be, whether you have a partner or whether you have no partner. Whether you live in a country that is peaceful or you live in a country that is not peaceful. Do you believe me?
Yes.
Everybody.
Yes.
Okay, then go in that direction with the mantra, I only have to take care of my own mind. Open up my heart and see things in a realistic way. Everything is impermanent. Everybody will die at one point. If you think about this person in 100 years from now, where's the problem then? No. We're both dead. Yeah. Yes.
There's a beautiful song about rejected love. It's like what you said about karma.
Yeah.
The poet, she writes that she came to a funeral
Yeah.
of a man she knew, and she rejected his love. Then
Yeah.
she came to visit him on Saturday, and it was on the way, but for him, she
Yeah.
was the love of his life. And she said she didn't understand it then, but years later, she experienced
A rejected love, yeah.
And then she understood.
And she understood, and then she felt guilty. But this is on another thing, somebody who's attached to you, and the chemicals are not there. I mean, it's illusory to think that they should now love you because you love them. I mean, how arrogant! Excuse me. I love you, therefore you have to love me. Whoa. Stupid. It's arrogant. But it's a very deep-sitting instinct. I love you, therefore you have to love me, and dare if you don't, and if you go off with some other woman or some other man. And then we feel hurt. You see, my sister-in-law, she could be happy by thinking about we had for 25 years such a happy relationship. But she cannot, because she's only thinking about what she's lost. Instead of having this attitude, thank you very much for having walked with me for 25 years of my life. She was very angry at my brother when he died, and because he died, so she didn't admit that anger. And so it festered, and then she became very sick also. Yeah. She felt guilty for feeling angry at him that he had left her. This is what the ego, as if he had a choice. He didn't have a choice. He didn't want to die. He loved life very much. So it's a complicated issue. So again, you are jumping to your biggest objects that you would like to forgive. Please come back down to somebody more easy, that you still hold some little grudge, and that has hurt you a little bit, and you still, may you be happy, may you be well. There's no substance in there. Do you see what I mean when I talk about substance? The heart is not there. The head, yeah, okay, may you be happy, may you be well, but there's no substance. So we take these people, when we start to train how to forgive. Forgiving is a training. But because we don't train with kind of small things, we just put them aside, but then they're still there, then we can't do it when the big things come. But then we want to do it. And then it's like you want to learn how to drive, and you sit into a Formula One car. What will happen? You've never sat in a car. What will happen? You crash. For sure. So you need to train with smaller incidents. But no, because they're not important enough, because they don't hurt you enough. So then we're not paying any attention to that. So now we're going to do 20 minutes something around this topic. And I would like you just to look at your feelings, not to play intellectual games, not to go into guilt and whatever. But first, stand up a little bit, stretch your legs, relax. So Itzik will have to go for the lunch, I think. Yeah. And if anybody does not want to do this and doesn't want to be here, then please just leave. This is not a prison. It's okay. Don't force yourself to do things that you feel useless or meaningless or you're afraid. Afraid is okay. Fear is not a reason, actually. But if you're it's so stupid, bullshit. Fine with me. Just leave. Go out. I'm not saying it in a nasty way, kind of get lost, but give yourself the permission to leave. You're free people here, at least. The only thing what imprisons you is your afflictive emotions. That's the only prison we have. And we create it ourselves. So we create our own prison, but we also have the key to it. So, if you want to get out of the prison of not being able to forgive, you can stay. If you don't, then you go. Also, as I said, when I lead you in meditation like this, it is a bit like brainwash, so there can be a lot of resistance towards that. But then, of course, not going to work. You don't want to be told what you should think. Our readiness to learn sometimes is quite small, because we know already everything in it. And also for this piece, you do need some humor by recognizing I am not perfect. Okay? And also seeing First Noble Truth. Buddha says, life sucks. Not life, but a samsaric life sucks. We put so much effort into being happy, and there's not one person who can claim I'm always happy. Not even one. If we would have one, we could think, okay, we can continue in the same way we're going. At least maybe then also I'll be constantly happy. There's not even one. What a waste of time to fiddle out with other people outside to try to change them. Okay. So try to sit with a straight back. That gives you some space and some freedom in your chest. This is where these tensions are sitting, these negative emotions. Take a few deep breaths, let go of all the tensions. Kind of calm yourself down by saying, I don't need to forgive yet. I can still hold on to this anger if I want. Don't force yourself to forgive. It's not going to work. It never works. But you need to forgive yourself for not being perfect, for having made mistakes, for having hurt others, and also for not being intelligent enough to protect yourself in such a way that nobody can hurt you. We cannot. It's impossible. The only person that can't really hurt you is somebody that you love. This might be a little bit painful, but in order to forgive, we need to see the pain. We need to be able to accept it. And it might be difficult. If it gets too difficult, just stop. Be gentle with yourself. Don't force anything. So imagine somebody in the front of you that you have harmed. If you can't find anybody, then you don't need to do this course. And you need to have courage to admit that we have harmed others, not given them what they wanted, not respected them, because we dislike them, kind of ignore them, push them aside. So this is not about you yet. This is you. We also do this to others. They're not important enough, they're not beautiful enough, they're not intelligent enough, they are not worthy of my attention. Or somebody that you have harmed you, that you have harmed, sorry. It would be good if you could find somebody that you were friendly with. A friend that then was harmed and now has turned away from you. Cannot forgive or does not want to forgive, whatever. So now first you look at the feeling of knowing I have harmed somebody. Just look at it, don't do anything with it. That's the immediate consequence of a human mind who understands what hurts. What hurts me also hurts others. You still like that person. You would still like to continue with the relationship. So try to feel that pain. If you need to cry, by all means cry. Don't hold anything back. It is painful. And feel the deep wish to be forgiven so that everything can go back to normal. Just be with those feelings in a relaxed as possible way. In a scientific way, you look at the feeling. How does it feel? I have harmed somebody else. They don't want to have anything to do with me anymore. The relationship has stopped. Don't go overboard. Everybody does that. You're not exclusive, so don't feel too bad about it. It's okay. Relax. Too much ego when we go, oh, it's so bad. Just relax. Sit up, relax, and just look at the feeling. The regret, that's what it is. And also behind this is a little bit of kind of being annoyed. How can he or she not forgive me? It shouldn't be so difficult to forgive. What I've done was not so big, was not so bad. Just look at that, what that voice is saying. And we really think it should be possible for this other person to forgive me because I want it. Now, do you signal your pain to the one that you have hurt? Are you ready to ask for forgiveness? To admit that you have hurt that person? When you look from this side, does that seem easy to approach the one that you have hurt? Check your feelings towards that person that you have hurt. Is it fear? Or is it anger? Or is it both? Do you have an open heart? What that person needs now is compassion. Because you hurt that person, not your guilt. That doesn't help. But really check your feeling very carefully. How do I feel towards that person? I'm afraid because they have power over me. I have to become quite humble by saying, sorry, I hurt you. But also you need courage. Do I have that courage to admit that I made a mistake? Really imagine the scenario now approaching that person. And don't need to be afraid, the person is not here. This is how you train. See yourself approaching that person and check your body sensations. And then try to release them. Try to open up before you say something. Breathe into them. By breathing out, you become spacious. You give them space. The fear, the anger, the uncertainty. Or maybe now, if you feel the need to say something mentally to the other person, by all means do. But again, don't force yourself. Or remind yourself, this is just a training. If your heart is still closed, then don't even think about what you would say. And remain with the body feeling of the closed heart and try to open it up. before you start to think about what to say. It is so difficult to admit having made mistakes and having harmed others. Maybe now you can see it. So now you turn the whole thing around. And you think about somebody that has harmed you. Can you take into consideration that this other person might feel like you do? Again, don't look at me. Look into your own heart. I am not the answer here. You need to look at your feelings. What does your ego say? Oh, no, they don't feel bad, they feel happy. Do you think that is true? How do you know that they're not hurting the same way as you do, that they feel guilty and bad about it and are afraid of you to come to ask or to say, I'm sorry? Now before, when somebody has harmed us, we were thinking, oh, it should be quite easy to forgive and to let go and to continue the good relationship, isn't it? That's what we thought. How do we think now, when we have been hurt? How easy is it for us to forgive, to let go, to say, yeah, it's okay, don't worry. And again, if you want, if you find it helpful or beneficial, imagine the person in the space in front of you. If it helps, try to see that the person also is not so terribly happy about what he or she has done. What would you want to say to that person? And why would you say what you want to say? You can say, yes, you have really harmed or hurt me, but how does it make you feel? Does it make you feel better? And what's the motivation behind that? That he or she should know that they have made you suffer. What's the real motivation behind that? Now, since this does just training, imagine saying, I forgive you. I understand that this guilt that you might be carrying around with you is a hindrance for your happy life. But I forgive you because I understand we all make mistakes, and this kind of attached love, it cannot be willed. For real love in a relationship, you have to work really hard. And the more attachment, the more difficult love becomes. And the quicker hate comes.